When AOC, the panel and monitor manufacturer, announced their latest product, yes, in form of a headset in both the GH200 and the GH300, I was like, oh boy, here we go again. Another monitor manufacturer going out of its comfort zone, creating a peripheral which is probably going to be pretty poor. But as someone who's reviewed over 400 audio-related devices, I'm going to say right off the bat that I was actually pretty impressed. Now, of course, stay tuned for this review, but what you'll like to know is the price point these come in at. The GH200, which comes with a 3.5mm jack termination, which we have on review, can be found for a whopping £39. And the USB variant, the GH300, can be found for, drumroll, £49. That's a pretty good price point as far as gaming headsets go, let alone from a really large-sized manufacturer such as AOC. So in this review, we're going to see if it's worth it, and of course, if it's something that you should even consider. Now, before jumping into this review, if you want to see more unpaid independent reviews from myself, definitely do subscribe and hit that bell notification. It would be greatly appreciated. Now, jumping straight into what you get in the box and the build quality and design, it's nice to see that the GH200, that's terminated via a singular 3.5mm jack, also comes with a splitter. For those people out there who don't have, let's say, a device that uses a 3 or 4 pin pole, then you can have the traditional green and the pink jacks for your microphone and your line input. For those people on more modern devices, or let's say if you're playing on a laptop, or for example if you just have, let's say, a console, then you can plug this directly into your source device. In my case, I can plug it directly into my Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus, utilize the microphone and the actual headset in terms of the headphones themselves, and when I'm on PC I go on for the splitter, which is included in the box. Now, the cable itself is 1.8 meters long, and towards the headset what you'll notice is a little control wheel. Now, the control wheel has the overall headset volume, in other words the headphone volume, and then you've got a mic mute toggle. We'll talk about both of these further down in this review, namely when it comes to the mic mute toggle. Now, the headset itself is available in a singular color. It's black. And in my case, I have no issues whatsoever with it, and in terms of the build quality, well, it's okay. It does suffer from a little bit of rattle, which I'm not sure if my microphone is going to be able to pick up, but it doesn't feel like the most premium headset out there on the world. But at the same time, it doesn't look like a cheap, tacky headset either. It actually looks pretty premium, which is quite surprising for a headset that costs £39. Now, the GH300 does have some RGB lights, as if you're ever going to need them, and is terminated via a USB cable instead, so that's just worth bearing in mind as well when it comes to the comparison between which one you would want to use. Now, both headsets have got a removable microphone. Now, what I will say is that the removable microphone is quite hard to remove. It's got a twist and turn type of mechanism, but I found myself often struggling to kind of get the microphone out of its shell. Now, I can't see why most people are going to use this, as in where they're going to actually have to take the microphone out of its shell. But for those people who want to use it as a regular headphone and then use it as a headset, you might find yourself struggling to get the microphone off quite frequently. Now, the plus side is that the boom microphone has got a foam tip which comes included, so that's really nice to see, and of course it is very easily removable so that you can clean it if you, let's say, get some pizza on it or whatever it might be that you're eating. Now, there is a kind of malleable type of design. It's not super sturdy, so you can't do some weird things with it, but equally I think once you do position the headset and the microphone in the correct position, you're not going to have to adjust that frequently. At least that's not what I do when it comes to using my own headphone and my boom microphone. Now, elsewhere the headset has got an adjustment in terms of the headset, so therefore the headband, and therefore it's going to get pretty large, and you're not going to have any issues when it comes to using this depending on your head shape. Now, I will say in terms of clamp force, it's got a little bit of a strongish clamp force for a headset. I would have actually preferred it to be a little bit of a weaker clamp force. I read online some people having some serious discomfort issues. I'm not sure if they just failed to test it or had really large heads, but in my case I have reading glasses and I'm often quite susceptible to headsets or headphones that have got a strong clamp force. That's not the case with the GH200s, and from my experience I actually found them to be perfectly fine for longer gaming sessions. The only thing I will, however, mention is the fact that they do get a little bit hot around the ear pads and even at the top of the headband. The material here that's used, it seems like I would say, is PU leather. I'm not really sure, but it just feels like the materials could have been a little bit better. But at the same time, this is a budget headset, so maybe I'm expecting a bit too much. And so now we get on to the microphone, and everything you can hear right now is coming directly from the headset. Now, as you'll be able to pick out, for a budget headset, it's actually surprisingly good. I'm just going to go quiet now. And the reason I do that is so that you can hear that the headset doesn't suffer from too much static. Now in my case, I'm using a very cheap USB sound card for the microphone, and that's what I do with my mod mic as well in order to reduce all the static sounds. But it's nice to see that the headset doesn't suffer from any issues like this. The problem, however, when it comes to the headset is when you mute the mic, which I'm going to do so right now, and what you'll hear is a quite large popping sound. So hopefully there you're able to hear the kind of popping sound when you go in and out of mute, and that's something that might disturb some of your viewers, be it if you're streaming or for example with your teammates and you hit the mute mic button, and therefore they'll be able to hear when you've gone on mute, which can be a little bit frustrating. But other than that, the overall recording quality is very impressive, and I must say, subjectively, I don't know what AOC have managed at this price point, but it should definitely be commended in comparison to other headsets out there on the market. Now, just for reference, here's my mod mic 4.0, which is connected over the same USB sound card, and here you'll be able to potentially hear the differences between the GH200 and my mod mic that I use on a daily basis. And as you can see, the mod mic will probably come out as a bit more of a all-rounded microphone, but again, it still should be commended as to how well the GH200's built-in microphone actually performs. Now, with the recording quality out of the way, let's get on to my subjective opinion in terms of the sound quality of the headset. Now, this segment is mainly for those people who are going to be using the headset for music or movie watching, or for example those budding audiophiles who are on a budget. Now, first off, let's talk about its sub-bass response, that low-end rumble. And here the GH200s have got a cutoff. You can definitely hear it, and therefore if you're listening to some kick-ass R&B tracks with that low-end extension, well, it just sounds a little bit subdued on the GH200s. Furthermore, if you're going to be listening to, let's say, a tank rolling by in a game or a movie, or for example, you're watching some Transformers, then again, you're going to see that low-end extension is somewhat cut off. Now, on the plus side, the mid-bass is very much present. You get a lot of bass in your face, and here, for people who are going to be listening to songs or let's say watching movies or indeed for example gaming, you'll be left pretty excited and your eardrums will be happy. However, it's worth bearing in mind that the accuracy of the mid-bass response is not that controlled and sounds a little bit wobbly. So again, in comparison to more expensive headsets, or headphones should I say, you will find a far superior mid-bass and sub-bass extension. Now, as for the mids, they are a little bit recessed and pushed back. If you're listening to vocals, for example, on tracks, you'll feel that the headset is kind of subduing the vocals to the background, while at the foreground you're getting that, well, that bass shunt. Now, of course, you could EQ this via third-party apps or some other platforms out there, or even in-game in some respects. But just out of the box, I'll say the mids are recessed and pushed back. As for the highs, they actually extend pretty well. You've got a really nice zing at the top end, and therefore you'll have a joyous experience when listening to the headset. Ultimately, the sound frequency range and I would say the competencies of the headset make it sound of a very V-shaped sound signature. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but for those people who are going to be doing, let's say, music reproduction or they're sort of budding audiophiles, well, just bear in mind that this is a budget headset and as a result does give you that sort of budget audio experience. It's not bad, but neither should it be compared to more expensive sets out there on the market. Now, as for its soundstage, this is quite an important factor, and we'll talk about gaming in just a second. but the soundstage itself is a little bit close sounding. But on the plus side, its 50mm drivers do deliver fantastic instrument separation, which is absolutely key when it comes to producing good positional cues when it comes to in-games. Now, speaking of which, let's talk about its gaming performance. When I say gaming performance, I mean the people who are going to be buying this headset might not even care about the overall sound frequency or how it actually does throughout the frequency range. They just want to know, is it good or bad when it comes to gaming? And in a nutshell, the GH200s are absolutely fantastic for gaming. I played some Counter-Strike and I had absolutely no issues, as I previously mentioned, with positional cues, and gave me, well, an entertaining audio experience. Now, I'm an audiophile, I would say, an audio enthusiast, and someone who's reviewed a lot of different audio products. But at this price point, it's quite hard to think of a headset, specifically a headset, not a headphone, that does as well as the GH200s. I mean, I think I'll be hard pressed to give you some suggestions at this price point of just regular headphones that do as well as the GH200s when it comes to just pure gaming experience. Of course, you've got the microphone, the headset, the mic mute, and of course the volume control wheel that we talked about before. So really, when it comes to gaming, the GH200s is, well, and are, should I say, a fantastic choice for gamers on a budget. And frankly, this all really leads me on to my verdict. The GH200, and I can only imagine like the GH300, are a great set of budget headsets. In other words, they produce a good overall sound quality, they give you a decent, although not perfect, build quality, and also a great recording quality, which is often overlooked when it comes to headsets. And fundamentally, it's quite hard for me to think of other headphones, let alone headsets, which compete with the GH200 or GH300s at their respective price points. And as a result, the headsets give my Best Buy award. Now that's just high praise from someone like myself who's reviewed over 400 audio-related devices, considers themselves as quite an avid gamer, and is also really critical of any sort of flaws on a product. But suffice to say, I was impressed. Now, of course, that's just my opinion, so I'd be intrigued to hear your opinion in the comment section below. And of course, do let me know what you're rocking, even if it wasn't for the GH200 or the GH300 headset. If you're just watching to be intrigued, well, kudos to you, I appreciate it. Now, if you want to see more from the channel, definitely do subscribe if you haven't already. Hit that bell notification, as it's very much appreciated. And in the links in the description below, you'll see links to my social media platforms, including Totally EV. It's a car-centric website where I review a new car every single week. Definitely do check that out in case you're interested. Alright, I've been Totally Dubbed, take care of yourselves, and goodbye.